Dr. Bardon, no one better placed than you, because of your research, to tell me what constitutes the Ulsterman.
The Ulsterman is simply somebody who lives in the 9-county province of Ulster. In fact, the interesting thing is that Ulster in prehistoric times, or at the time of Cuchulainn, actually went down to the River Boyne. They said from the River Boyne across to the River Drowse and Donegal, north of that was Ulster. But of course, when somebody like Sir Edward Carson or Captain James Craig were talking about Ulster, they frequently were only actually referring to their own followers within the province of Ulster.
Very often people would say, and it's not a claim I would dispute in any sense, that there is an indefinable almost difference to the Ulsterman. Some people say it's the Protestant work ethic. Some people say it's a kind of stoicism. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I think there must be some influence. There was the massive colonisation by Lowland Scots in the 17th century, particularly in the late 17th century, when people think the plantation was over. In the 1690s, when there was a great famine in Scotland, tens of thousands of Scots came in and settled, and they brought their customs and their way of life with them. And of course, they intermarried with many of the native Irish as well. And this is something that is not generally known or accepted. Otherwise, why would you have somebody, a nationalist leader like John Hume with a Lowland Scots name, or Jerry Adams with a Lowland Scots name, and Captain O'Neill with a native Irish one, Harold McCusker with a native Irish one, We have mixed much more. That's one of the messages I frequently try to convey in talks that I give.
And it's also part and parcel of a core recipe for a wiser future together.
Yes, I hope so. But there is no doubt that in spite of the C-64 and the Good Friday Agreement of 1998 and subsequent agreements at St Andrews and so on, that there are extreme tensions within Northern Ireland. I mean, I live in North Bell. I can see it with my own eyes,
Yes, of course. Now, you've managed to write a book. Not managed, you did it with alacrity, with joy, and with great skill. A history of Ireland in 200 and how many chapters?
250 episodes.
How do you manage to do that?
This was based, I was doing 5-minute program, BBC Radio Ulster, and they went out. Actually, in the end, there were 300 of them, and they're frequently, because I get no royalties on them, they're frequently repeated on BBC 4 Extra. I mean, these were dramatised incidences from Irish history, which, when all put together, tell you the story of Ireland.
Yes.
Yes.
Shortly, the new book comes out, and you occupy an important chapter in it.
Yes. I mean, I do write a lot, and there's in fact a book coming out, published by Cork University, which will be bringing lots of different historians together to write about the crisis that occurred between 1912 and 1914 in Ireland, the prelude to Ireland's participation in the First World War.
Was that crisis, in a sense, precipitated by the notion that England's problem could have been Ireland's benefit, or indeed even Ulster's benefit?
I think really what happened was that as long as the Conservatives were in power, Ireland had no possibility of getting even a form of devolution known as Home Rule. But by 1910, the Liberals were in power, and they were dependent on the Irish parliamentary party to stay in power. In other words, if Herbert Henry Asquith, the Prime Minister, and his Liberal government wanted to stay in office, they had to give Ireland Home Rule. But the problem was that this, think of Ukraine today. The problem was that there was a substantial minority in Ireland, obviously in the northeast of Ireland, who were implacably opposed to Home Rule, and Asquith had the problem. What do I do? Do I just ignore these a million people in the northeast who don't want home rule, or do I go in for partition? And if I go in for partition, there are major problems. There are more nationalist Catholics in West Belfast, even in 1912, than there were in County Fermanagh, where Catholics were in a majority, and are again in a majority. So the problems were really difficult. The Conservative... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was thinking, all finding its way back, not to the business of yesterday, last year, or 10 or 100 years before, but in one case, those people who moved, an enormous migration of folk from Scotland, and a big thing for them to have done. Okay, they were under the threat of hunger from the famine,
yes,
but to uproot in that way and not stay and dig in and find a way in the native heath, that was an extraordinary journey for them, an exodus par excellence.
Yes, and in fact, at one stage, they had an overall, the British, as King James of Scotland and England called them, the British, in other words, the English and the Scots together, the Protestants actually outnumbered the native Irish. But then that changed in the early 18th century when the restless Scotch-Irish, as the Americans called them, crossed the Atlantic in great numbers. Really about 250,000 of them in the 18th century, and settled in the Appalachians and places like that, bringing bluegrass music with them and all that.
So we can claim the origins of that. We were responsible there as well. Now, the business of the Great War, and the Irish who went and paid the supreme sacrifice having gone. What was the fundamental motivation there deep down that allowed so many Irish Catholic people to go and fight England's war?
Yes, well, the first thing is that the British Army traditionally recruited in Ireland. Now, James Connolly called conscription. In other words, poor people whose economic future thought it was a good idea to accept the King's shilling. More than half of all the soldiers in the British Army in the 19th century were Irish. And there's still a very high proportion. In other words, you have a strong tradition of Catholic Irish as well as Protestant Irish joining the armed forces. Then you must remember that the great majority of Catholic nationalists in 1914 were not Republicans, they were supporters of the Irish Party, which supported the war. And John Redmond, their leader, called upon them to join up. And indeed, he stood up in the House of Commons on the night of August the 4th, 1914, and he said that the armed Catholics of the South would only be too happy to join with armed Protestant Ulstermen to defend Ireland in this war. And so the recruitment was very strong. A very interesting fact is that a slightly higher proportion of Catholics in Belfast joined up in 1914 than Protestants in Belfast joined up in 1914. We're talking proportion. So the enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, and also perhaps the need amongst the Protestants who perhaps were more into the area of gainful employment, that they didn't have to go.
Well, of course, they did go. I mean, you have an enormous number of volunteers, and don't forget there was no conscription, volunteers, Catholic and Protestant, who joined the armed forces. Their motivations were varied. I mean, for Catholics, for example, the appalling treatment of the Belgians by the Germans in the first weeks of the war, when several thousand innocent Belgian civilians were murdered, that encouraged many Catholic Irishmen to join, fight for little Catholic Belgium.
Yes.
For Protestants, it was fight for king and empire. This is our patriotic duty. Plus, you must remember that the great majority of people who joined up thought the war would be over by Christmas. They didn't know what the horrors of the trenches would be, that there would be absolute appalling slaughter all along the Western Front and in Gallipoli.
What was happening at home when, as the news filtered through of that catastrophe?
Well, the interesting thing is that in fact, Ireland, in the first few years of the war, prospered. The farmers were getting wonderful prices for the food that they produced. Farmers' wives were doing particularly well because traditionally they were allowed to keep the money from selling hens' eggs. industry in Belfast, in Newry, in Derry, all doing extremely well, meeting the insatiable demands of war. And Ireland was very quiet. The only thing was that there were conspirators of the Irish Republican Brotherhood who were planning to have an insurrection. England's difficulty is Ireland's opportunity.
And was there to any extent the families of the mothers and fathers of the young men who had gone and by then knew the likelihood of receiving corpses home, if at all, was there an anger growing against the war effort?
You could say that, yes, there was certainly a lack of enthusiasm setting in around about the beginning of 1916, when we find that recruitment levels fall very considerably indeed, north and south in Ireland. Nevertheless, when an insurrection did happen in Dublin in Easter 1916, the great majority of nationalists didn't support it. What changed things was the fact that that military rule was established in Dublin, and that 15 insurgents were executed in a blaze of publicity, and the whole nationalist attitude to the British government and to participation in the war began to shift in a seismic way in 1917 and 1918.
It's almost, in one look at it, it's almost as though it was a quite natural thing for people to rally behind the 15 who were executed and go forward with that hurt and with a determination. But it very often people don't care that much. Those who perhaps were against it at the beginning, it's hard really to see them stepping into that breach of caring enough to allow a new republic to be established.
Yes, it's a generational thing in that you have a new generation of young Irish men and Irish women who are disillusioned with the rather elderly men parliamentary party and are promising home rule. Home rule is promised, but it's not actually given. It's not to be given until the end of the war, and so there's an intense frustration setting in, and those who were Republicans, who had been interned, who had been released at the end of 1916, now became heroes and began to mobilize and organize what effectively was a new political party, a new umbrella separatist party called Sinn Féin.
Then you see, I wonder why the British. Maybe I should know the answer to this, but I'm not an academic, and the history of Ireland drives me up the walls because I've seen where it's all led, if you like. But why did the British give in so easily? Is it not in their character to say a curse on all of these Irish and stick in there and take on Sinn Féin? They walked away very easily, it seems.
Well, the interesting thing is that actually, at first, the British didn't walk away, and they passed legislation at Westminster to impose conscription on Ireland in the spring of 1918, when the Germans made a great assault on the West. And that totally and utterly backfired. Nationalist Ireland, people of every kind of nationalist, joined together to oppose conscription. And then, of course, when the war was over, in the election of December 1918, Sinn Féin swept the board. The Irish party was swept aside, and in fact, the government of David Lloyd George, a coalition government which won the election at Westminster in 1918, it actually resisted very strongly giving the Republicans what they wanted. But of course, appalling guerrilla warfare between January of 1919, June of 1921, led the British government to think, oh well, we will give them much more than we originally promised.
Yes.
But
there
was a big proviso. Yeah. What Lloyd George wanted to do is to make sure the Unionists in Ulster got what they wanted, and that's what he gave them in the Better Government of Ireland Act of 1920. He created Northern Ireland. And once he'd done that, he more or less said, yeah, you can be a dominion of the British Empire if you want. You can have a lot more freedom than we originally promised you to the other 26 counties.
But the Unionists in the north, they weren't necessarily taking Lloyd George at his word, because they had already managed to arm themselves for any eventuality that might come.
Yes, that was true, because when they were arming themselves, before the First World War, there was a Liberal government which promised them no partition or anything like that. But by 1918, Lloyd George's government, Lloyd George was a Liberal, but his coalition government was overwhelmingly Conservative, and those Conservatives backed the Ulster Unionists to the hilt and gave the Ulster Unionists pretty well everything that they asked for. And once the Unionists got what they wanted, then Lloyd George could turn to Sinn Féin and say, right, okay, let's negotiate and see what you want now.
Negotiation, jaw better than war, as a famous man said once, and that's what occurred, and we're still at it. We're still having the conversations,
yes.
And fundamentally conversations about the same area of theatre.
Yes, that I'm afraid that's correct. Yes, and one of the things I like to do when I'm talking to people about this period is to say, that Ireland was not unique. That all over Europe, all over the world, there were people who felt themselves beleaguered minorities. Think of Sri Lanka, and the Tamils in the north in a minority, not wanting to be part of an overall Sri Lanka, and you've got that kind of tension in so many countries. And as we speak, of course, in Ukraine.
We have war and the propensity for war deeply ensconced in the human heart.
I'm afraid so, yes.
Yeah, bless us. Tell the people how they can get your new book that's coming, that you're part of.
Well, the book that's in publication at the moment is A History of Ireland in 250 Episodes by Jonathan Bardon, and it's a Gilden Macmillan paperback. And, I actually have a history of Ulster and the First World War. That's a booklet I'm bringing out here, published by the War Memorial in Belfast.
You're a most prolific writer, a wonderful man. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you.
Go well. God bless you.
Thank you.